If you're here for the
We can count every
costume, I'm pleased to tell you, you are in the correct room.
Yay!
Yay! So it's not a competition, but I'm going to give you points anyway. I'm going to give you awesome geek points for being here. That's fantastic. Shall I start off? I seem to be doing that anyway. I seem to get auto points. It's amazing as I've only had one. Wait till it was McDonald's coffee. Running on caffeine. Oh my gosh. Watch out, everybody, the raptors on caffeine. So, the glow in the programme is what makes a great costume. So masquerades, re-enactment, or all corpse, or homemade. And that's with us here. So my name's Talanti, and I seem to have accidentally started moderating this to start off with. I've done costuming for many a year. Not so much lately, but I want to get back into it. And when it comes to costumes, sometimes I like to, sometimes on days like today, I keep it kind of low-key, just want to look geeky and have fun with it, but I have sensory issues and I'm neurodiverse, so sometimes it's what my body will let me do. But in the past I've improvised really wonderful costumes. Some have been great and some have been, they've been alright. They were a laugh, they were not repeated. So that's my intro. Who wants to go next?
Oh. I am James Steele, I'm here all week. Basically, yes, for some reason, somebody's put me on this panel and the next panel and the next panel. I was playing ahead of Greg, I started doing costuming, I think, in 1983 for one of the one of the Cambridge University things. I did a lounge with them, which I've still got the head of. And the second costume I made, I entered into the world thing in 1984. No, 1987. Which were the world cons? Can you remember the ones in Brighton? 84 and 87.
Where's that song?
That must have been must have been 86 the first costume.
85, 86.
85, 86 was the first one. 87, for some reason, I got terribly enthusiastic, and I did a costume for the World Cup in 1987 in Brighton. Not the 1984 one, the 1987 one in Brighton. And because I had no idea that you couldn't do it, I did it and managed to get best journeyman. No, best novice there. Got best novice there, which was a costume of a griffin, and it was bloody enormous. And I learned an awful lot from doing it. The first thing of which was don't. It had wings, not ones unfortunately that actually lift me into the air, but pretty impressive, everything like that. And it was covered in real feathers. Real feathers. And obviously not the bottom half, that was perfect. Real feathers for the whole of the top half. The head was heavy. And it was based on a safety element. Things like that. And from that point on, I did an awful lot of costuming with weird and wonderful costuming. There was a lot of prosthetic work, which we had to try and figure out how to do, which one of our friends did best on, I think. We had face pieces and things like that. We did one on the Vericonian books. There was a Vericonian set. There was one which was, what's that Japanese one? Weird Japanese one. The Iron Man or something like that?
Oh,
that's right. Tetsuo, the Iron Man, that's it. So we did a set on that, and that was deeply disturbing.
So was the film.
Well, the film was more disturbing than the costume, but the costume was bad enough.
No, the costume was very
The costume, and what was it? I do remember Shelley Hollingsworth, one of our friends, who came on with basically more or less a certain amount of body paint and a certain amount of costume, but not all that much, and a vacuum cleaner hose attachment attached in where you would imagine it probably shouldn't be, and waving that about, and the hose did a strange little thing and then went off dancing at the end.
The mind's truly boggles.
It was odd.
So.
But anyway, that's probably the most of it.
Too much, yes.
And there's also this thing.
We'll
come to that.
I'm David Wake. I am the person who destroyed the masquerade at Easter Carnival.
Yep.
How?
Well,
Co-opting all the people.
it was a really wonderful period at Easter Carnival masquerade where we actually genuinely started to compete. There was a group of us down in Manchester, giving another group in Manchester. I was in Birmingham. And we were genuinely competing, and we were, you know how you sort of try to one-up each other. We came to one particular thing, and they said you have to walk up onto the stage. This comes back to the performance panel earlier. And both Spuzz and I said no, we can't because we're both on stilts. And Spuzz and I then looked at each other and went, one of us is going to win. We don't know which one. And then I thought, the amount of effort that's going in this masquerade, we could shout it across and do plays. So I stole the cream of the masquerade in a play, and the masquerade to ensure that the plays got more movies. And then I went to theatre, so I was hoping on this panel I'm a theatre director, person to talk about costumes.
Yes, you actually got people to go along and pay to see your play.
Yes, I got money.
Actually, not just doing plays, but getting people to pay to see the plays you did. Yes. It was,
I was a professional director.
yeah, for a very brief period.
It was quite long. I didn't make that much.
Okay, you were professional for a short period, but did it for a long time.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds out enough.
One of the reasons I wanted James to come in here was we did a talk at Wardrobe, which is a costuming convention, where we compared the good aspects of a white rabbit with the less good aspects of the Black Queen. And that was a good talk. It was very light, ended a lot. So we're going to re-attempt that.
But also, in your name.
Yes.
So let's have a look at the first part of this, which is, I think if we're going to kick this panel off, where on earth do you start with costuming? So you'll have somebody who perhaps hasn't done a costume in their life. And I remember years ago when I first went to conventions, I get very, very nervous about costume elements. And I think my mum said this best, and I tried to make sure what I was doing was accurate. But my mum said to me, if it's 100% screen accurate, then it's like you don't put any of your own personality into it. And I found that some of the costumes I've done, there's been a lot of blood, sweat and tears and effort, and it's got to be my own interpretation. So one of my favourites was when I first hand sewed something big style. So myself and my dear partner cosplayed Zia and Mendoza in the Mysterious Cities of Gold. It means an awful lot to me. But I was up until about 2:45 in the effing morning, hand sewing, red lining onto that bloody cloak. It was well worth it. My hands, my fingers told the story. And there I am, sitting on the flight thinking, the pressure in the cabin is actually even making my hands hurt. But it was so worth it, but also the reactions. And then it got to the point of, with the fawny coloured undertop, how on earth am I going to do this? Because it has a bit of a design element on the sleeves. So my dear partner said, just draw it on. So I did, and the whole thing worked beautifully. It was very simple in some respects, so for some reason I just never felt comfortable wearing high boots outside of my jeans. But now I've got myself some high boots, and it felt amazing. I absolutely loved it. And the sheer accomplishment was great. And then for years I cosplayed Captain Jack Harkness with an inch of my life. And people thought, oh, you never break character. No, I am that cheeky, and I do that many innuendos. But I'd honestly say, in terms of starting out with costumes, it's amazing. It's almost like you can step into the character and you can use that. And it bolsters your self-confidence as well. But it's such an adventure. And then there's the interaction. So I've kind of rambled on about the things I absolutely adore. So I shall ask my fellow panelists, what are your thoughts on essentially starting out, the improvisation aspect, and also the sheer experience that you get at conventions with costumes?
It comes back to that how we did this morning. You've got to decide why you're doing it. Are you wearing a costume to walk around a convention and do a floor costume? Are you going to do some masquerade performance? Are you going to wear it to go fight crime? You've really got to decide what you're trying to do. Would that be fair? Yeah, I'm agreeing with what you said on the panel, but actually I don't think that. I genuinely think it starts with an idea. I want to do the MC for aliens. Therefore I have to do it.
That is the thing. That is exactly it. I want to.
Yes.
It's the I want to. If anything is true of starting out in costuming, yes. I want to do this. I want to be this character because I've got some emotional investment in this character. I want to do that because it's a technical challenge. I want to do this because it's an acting challenge.
I want to do this because so-and-so asked me.
Oh yes, I want to do this because someone asked me is another thing. But in general, it's because you have an idea and you think, I think I can pull that off. Again, a second thing that you have to have if you're starting off costuming always is ignorance. Because you have no idea when you start out, firstly, how to make anything sensible, and also whether these things are even possible.
But that's half the fun, isn't it?
I know, it's half the fun.
It's half the fun,
It's,
because if you don't know something that isn't possible, you work out how to do it.
You don't know it's not possible. Is that bat in the way of the camera?
Sorry.
That's not a phrase you often hear.
There's a lot of phrases that you hear that you don't actually anywhere.
The bat is now out of the way of the camera.
Sorry. I apologize.
And we may not have got the first one. We may not have got the
Very
first.
nice bat. I love
It's a
it.
very nice bat, but it's also but ignorance, because when I started out, any of the costumes I've started out to make, I had no idea what to do, how to source the materials, what materials to use, or anything. You get better. The essential thing is to not know you can't do it and to have a bloody good try. I was interested in doing the first costume I did. I was interested in doing sort of lizard head thing and tail, and that's as far as I actually got with the costume before I ran out of time. So I put a suit and turned it into a lounge
I love that.
All
But-
the visual puns.
Yes, I know. It seemed like a good idea, but I've still got the head somewhere. But it's terrible. I made the whole thing out of chicken wire, and it was
Wow.
It was basically chicken wire covered in foam, and sort of and it was people made a slight amount of fun of the costumes I did, because it was always that I built costumes of the things that you could find in wigs. Yeah, because I built things out of safety helmets and insulate pipe lagging insulation.
I can see where you're going wrong here.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Alien Queen, a friend of mine from the Doctor Who fan club worked in Doolittle. So I could go in, I'd hang around until he was around for free. And I'd go up and say, I want to make an Alien Queen's tail. And he'd go, oh, well, how about this? And take him in, no, there's all right. So he'd know what I'm talking about. Once he'd left, it becomes really difficult. You know, you'd say, I want something that will screw up here, and it looks like it's going to do this, that, the other, and then go, what's the part like that? Very cool.
It's a challenge that way, like just finding things. But I think also it's amazing what you can improvise from stuff you have at home. So years ago, I was wondering what costume to wear. I looked into my wardrobe, and lo and behold, I actually had the makings of an entire costume for Paul McGann Doctor Who. And I laughed an awful lot because you do, don't you? I was actually I kind of like my wardrobe in that respect. Another time I improvised the Winter Soldier, but the only reason was I wanted to do the black eye makeup. So I was like, how do I do this? So I got this silver material. So I did the arm and everything. It looked pretty crap, but I loved it. But I think my favourite one was when I did a Tony Stark costume. And back then, let's just say I was a bit less wrapped up, shall we say. Health issues and everything, a bit more wrapped up about my life. Yay! Okay, less said about that, better. So I got myself a glowy arc reactor. I got myself some sunshades from Marks and Spencer.
I got an arc reactor.
Well, it's a costume, of course, as you do. Yeah. Oh, what's this in the back cupboard? Oh, it's an arc reactor. Oh, fantastic. Great. Woo-hoo. No electricity bills. So, I was like, well, how am I going to do this? So, got some very clear thread, hung that, put it onto my shirt, switch it on, got my shirt, and it's got the glowy bits going on. But the thing that really did it was the style of sunglasses. I then watched Iron Man and clipped a stick-on beard, which looked perfectly good, I thought. But my hair really carried off the whole thing. But I had people doing double and triple takes. And they were like, that's really good. That's disturbingly good. And then to cap it all off, this was an Easter con. I got to sit in the Iron Throne. So, but I didn't understand back then the significance of the Stark sitting on the Iron Throne. It was the reactions of people. And I'm like, oh my God, like, whoa, you really like Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, thank you. And that was the one where actually, because it's got very dark eyelashes, I actually put mascara on as well. And it's got eyelash stuff, colouring eyelashy stuff. But it just went down so well. And that was great, because I got to be my cheeky, flamboyant self. And it was just wonderful, but all of that was, my hair looks a little bit like Robert Downey Jr.'s in the first Iron Man movie, and I wanted to have fun with it. And fun it was. It was lovely.
And in terms of hall costumes, the hall costumes, one of the nice things about a hall costume is that it takes you out of yourself. People are reacting to the character rather than necessarily reacting to you. And it means that you've got a layer of insulation if you want it. So it means that you can wander around and you're not there as yourself. You're not there as people looking at you. They're looking at the character. And it's really quite liberating to be able to do that, to actually wander around with that sort of level of insulation, I would say.
It's like running in safe mode. That's what I did when I did my Loki costume, because people had such a go at me, and I was having such a horrible time. I was like, right, if you're going to treat me like a villain, I'm going to bloody well be a villain. And honestly, mental health-wise, that costume absolutely rocked, because I was able to be sarcastic and terribly, terribly mischievous, and actually, it really helped. And it was fun.
Because you're dressed as Loki, everybody accepted that was what you were
It's
going
fine.
There are really, in some respects, two types of costumes, aren't there? There's the ones that have got to look good close up, and then for theatre, is it the 15th or the 15-yard room? I can never remember. But it's got to look good to the front row of the audience.
I always remember with there a couple of costumers up in London who were basically this is the costume of 17th century thing. All his stitching is hand stitched. All the embroidery is absolutely perfectly done for the period. All the materials are what would have been used in the period. Everything is absolutely accurate. If you go up close, you cannot tell it necessarily from the real thing, except that it's actually been produced in the last year or two. And then there are costumes which I do, which are, the idea is it's got to look good from the back of the auditorium. That's it. It doesn't matter.
The front of the audience.
Well,
People have the right back going, oh, that's brilliant. People front going, oh, that's really fun.
but effectively, it's just got to be. It's got to be there. It's got to make the correct. It's got to make the correct imprint. So
People fill in
got
the
to be able
visual
to-
clues, don't they?
Yeah.
Like what we were talking with an earlier panel, but
Yeah.
people fill in visual clues.
Yes.
So as long as you give them the right clues, the costume doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
It has to look right.
To an extent, it's good if it's slightly vague, because then people are able to fill in. It's the same principle as cartooning, where you don't do a perfect absolute, you don't do an absolute perfect facsimile of a person there. You don't do the best drawing you can. You draw a character so that the character is sufficiently vague that people can project their own ideas upon it.
You're talking about capturing the essence.
Yes. You get the essence of the character so that people can take it. And that, getting better, is one of the things that does make a good costume, which is that people can look at it and they can see what it is, but they can project themselves almost onto it. They can see.
It's like they can relate to it.
Yeah.
And also, if it's not 100% accurate, not only is there that thing that my mum said about bringing, she's actually my costume guru, I love that. There was a convention where she got me a brown pinstripe suit, and that was the year before David Tennant's Doctor Who costume was revealed. I'm like, Mum, you're epic. Epic. And I said to people, do you recognise this? Dot was wearing it last year. Oh yeah, and then I was in a picture of people who've done very simple Slovene costumes. They collect text and zips to their foreheads. And it was just so awesome. And there's a picture of me with these bloody Slovene. I'm like, no. But I think a lot of it is, well, if you can't get it 100% accurate, sometimes what you can do is add a fun spin to it. So it's like, why must it have this colour lighting? If there's something, for example, if you've got sensory issues, and there can be a bit of a bane for it, but at the same time, it makes me think, well, how am I going to work this so that I can wear a costume? So another one I loved was, and back then I had long dark hair, I did Loki as Captain America, because in the, I can't remember which Thor movie it was, because I've got a dreadful memory, but there's actually a cut scene where it's Tom Hiddleston decked out in the Captain America gear, but I liked it so much, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. And then I made a shield, and my dear partner helped with this. It's my laundry bin lid. And then there was colouring in a paper bag, which is sellotaped to the top of it. But yeah, people could see what it was. And there was an event I went to, and someone had decked themselves out as a certain tangerine terror who's president. And there's a picture of me basically doing this and him going, but he was such a good sport. And I think that's the other thing. When somebody's being a genuinely good sport and they're making it fun for everybody else, I just think it's fantastic.
I think we have to see the White Rabbit.
I think we do, don't we?
Yes, I suppose so. This.
You want to do the good and the evil of costume?
Yeah, good medieval costume. This actually is, I'll put this on for a second. It's part of the costume. The rest of it's over there, and I'll put the whole thing on.
Wow.
But this was done as effectively the White Rabbit from. This was done as the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, pretty obviously, and the vision is not wonderful. You can see there's this bit here, but but it was done for one of Dave's plays, but it also got entered in the masquerade that year. But it was. I'll put the whole thing on in a minute or two. Because I probably need help getting into the wretched costume.
I'm looking forward
It
to
still
seeing this.
exists.
I did the
Oh, you
alien.
do that.
I did the alien queen from Aliens. This is the stilt. That was underneath me. So it's the knee. Well, its back joint was here. My arms went out to the elbows. I think my head was somewhere in its chest, and this whole huge thing, which was so big, it went through my lounge. James was talking about good vision. In the alien, no vision at all. Couldn't see it.
But did it feel good?
Yeah. People said if I got on this, I would break my neck. And they were completely wrong. I did not break my neck. I broke my leg. Shit.
Was it the full leg or just the ankle?
Well, you know the bit when the alien queen falls into that airlock in the floor?
Yes.
We were on the flat. We were trying to wonder how we would do that scene, and decided I was just going to walk off because that's all I could do. I didn't. I came down completely, and it got a cheer. It was like, ooh, very epic. As I left the stage and just collapsed in the heat. I do remember the very small bit of vision I had. There was a mate of mine who was helping us backstage. I remember seeing him running towards me, and I thought, he's not going to make it in time. Crash. There we go. So, don't use stills. It's a good advice.
This may take some time.
That's okay. I'm intrigued by it.
Better sitting down
Oh,
here.
wow, I'd say it's been great.
Sorry about that.
I have been accused of being a furry occasionally because of
Why
that.
do you have a couple of furries? They're lovely.
Yes.
They've got such a bad rep, but actually.
Oh no, absolutely. But on the other hand,
I've met, they're just so lovely, and just quite fun. I'm like, fair enough, if that's what makes you happy.
oh yeah, why not?
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I'm not really sorry, am I?
No.
Yeah, sorry, no.
Right.
I built the alien queen's head. That's a chicken one. Chicken
Well,
one
you
with
did.
foam. You know, foam is just protective stuff for horses.
Some people need to be more serious because it's a health and safety aspect, which I think is, I guess that's the other thing about costuming. Sometimes it's what you can physically do. So I've got a boiler suit, but I've also got Crohn's. So sometimes it's a little bit of a stretch. So if I was going to do a Thermion costume in Galaxy Quest, I think I'd probably have to do a top and trousers version for ease of access to the conveniences. And we've got a lot of that.
I'm not as flexible.
No, that's the problem, is we're not as bendy as we were.
I used to be a lot more bendy than this.
This is an interesting
So, the costume has survived very, very well. The costumer has less. That's why I have.
The costumer has knowledge. And that's a good thing.
If there's any questions, do chip in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this the point where you say costumes like that you need a dresser?
You do generally need a dresser if you can get one.
A good point.
And here's the strap.
Also, if you've got limited vision, it helps to have a seeing eye human.
Seeing eye human.
Yeah, that's right. You only to see our human at times without all fixing.
About
Without
there.
wearing, wow.
Yes. Oh no, before that I need the gloves.
Glass.
Any books on them?
Again, for something like this, if you're going all out, that's the tail.
Of course it's a tail.
Ah, there's the gloves, yes.
Wow. What's that made out of?
This,
Rabbit.
It's actual rabbit fur.
no.
This
one actually-
It to be.
150 rabbits.
This actually was originally a sheepskin rug,
Oh, right.
and it's what I did was cut out effectively a cut out hand print and upper arm print there, you can see, and then sewed and then cut effectively the same sort of thing on, and then turned it into a glove. So there was that. What are you looking for in there? That's a spare ear, don't worry about that.
Yeah, practicality, you've mentioned one. What about, do you worry about things like pockets or overheating or all the other things like...
Overheating is a good point.
This is a very good point.
This is an overheating costume.
I couldn't do that given the fact I can't regulate my body temperature. And anybody who does anything like that, I find it really impressive. I'd have to think about ways that I could accommodate the fact my health is quite obviously buggered, to use a technical phrase. But I mean, seriously, what's going on here? And the other thing I thought about was where, with practicalities, there was a convention I went to, and they had to make sure that costumes weren't too far across, because somebody, I kid you not, went to the city of Atlantis from Stargate Atlantis, and they were wearing the city on their head, but it couldn't fit through the double doors when both of them were open. So it's like, so after that, they introduced a dimension. I think they had to tilt the city a bit. Which I'm not
Somebody do a cradling. Couldn't fit through the doors.
Oh, crikey. Oh, look at this.
Can you tuck the thing under there?
And here we have the usage of dress.
And at the back?
Isn't this fantastic? Amazing. Wow. Good.
There's a collar down there. If it's possible, put it around the neck. If it's not possible, then leave it off. Other way round.
I'm just amused by the fact there's a rabbit tail on your hair. Oh, you.
I think it clips. There's a pattern somewhere. It's going to just strangle.
There's another thing. If you're
What's the simplest costume you've done?
the simplest costume,
Yes. We have elaborate stuff, but what's the...
Now, you need gas
I did it in 10 minutes.
to attach that.
I think that would
over
be.
there.
Actually, I know what it was. It was Loki in the Stuttgart scene of Avengers Assemble, when he's wearing a suit, and he smacked somebody with a cane, which sometimes I want to. And as I was walking down the stairs thing, oh gosh, I loved it. I literally just wore, I had to have a scarf, but essentially that it was doing the hair, doing the, like, darkening the eyebrows. But again, that was empowering. I just loved it.
Anyway, this is pretty much it.
I can see the tail now. It's nice. You've got a nice tail. Can you cover up? Oh my gosh!
That's one of the things. It needed to be effectively the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, because again, this was the state of the costuming being destroyed by Dave Waite's plays. It needed to be a White Rabbit for a thing on the Matrix.
Oh, the white rabbit.
In the Matrix, it's follow the White Rabbit. So this was the costume that was made for the White Rabbit for the stage. Now, obviously, you don't have go this far. This is over the top extremely.
It's really nice though. Yeah,
A bit warmer.
It gets warm after a while.
How warm are you?
What, now or in general?
How warm are you feeling? Are you feeling a bit?
When you put this on for the purpose for which it was made, you don't wear much underneath.
Yes.
It gets hot if you think. But there are little things about these costumes, like there's actually, you see the knees.
Yeah.
The knees are such, done in a way that there's a sort of skeleton underneath, which means that the knees and the legs should work
Oh my God.
much more like.
That'd be funny.
I did several things really badly wrong for this costume, and you may be able to see them. I think I might have to take this off now, at least the head.
What do you mean the Easter Bunny's not real? Okay.
The eyes, you see the eyes, are actually made of tea light holders.
Really?
Right here. Right, they're the bottom of the tea light holder. I noticed that the tea light holder itself was white, just about the right shape. It had a circle in the bottom, which I then painted black and put in there, and put a gloss black paint in the middle of it. You can see it's in there, and if I was to take it out, you'd be able to see that it's effectively the bottom of an IKEA tea light holder. The inside, you can see here, is largely a helmet. A helmet. I cut off the rim of a safety helmet, so I basically had just something that would sit on my head securely. So that was that, just in order to make it so that it didn't slip around or anything like that. And I had learned from the one that I built out of chicken wire that chicken wire is really, really scratchy.
Yeah.
A lot of this
How did you get the
is.
chin to work?
What's that?
How did you get the chin to work?
The chin, it's the strap inside. The jaw is you can see there's a piece of wire in there. All the jaw is a piece of wire, which is attached to the helmet in one of the safety straps. And effectively, what it does is, once you've got it there, you can oh dear, beg pardon.
I think you need another stick between.
Yeah, I think I need another drink.
It's mixolatosis.
You can open and close the mouth. So it's just like that, and it's done with elastic inside, which is roughly aligned to where the muscles might be in a normal jaw. So it pulls it so it's closed, normally closed, but you've got a strap underneath the chin, which again is just a piece of random fabric which you pull, and the jaw opens.
I did one.
There's work
for
by
a
your own
dragon,
jaw, yeah.
For a dragon, based on a cycle helmet. And I did much the same things. I couldn't work out how to do it.
Yeah.
And when I worked out how to do it, did I do it the right way? How is somebody who does it differently do it? So
Yeah, but there are certain things that have to work in a certain way. For this, because it's an animal design, obviously, certain things about it have to work, have to move in the way that the animal would, because otherwise, if you move around and it's obviously just a pair of trousers, it does not work.
Well, that, it does work, but that is so much better.
Yeah.
They are impressive legs.
Yeah.
They are. They're proper bunny legs.
Yes, they need to be. And of course, the gloves also can be used for other purposes. I'll say no.
Questions to him?
Any questions to talk about that?
Yes.
we've talked a bit about certain practicalities of costume. When you've got something really elaborate like that, that's very hot inside, you typically repeatedly use. How do you go about keeping it clean and fresh? If at all.
The ideal way is not to wear it for very long. You can do things like use Febreze after you've finished with it. You spray the thing and everything like that to make sure. But in terms of how you actually do it, the best way of dealing with a costume that's hot, it really is to wear very little underneath. And if necessary, build a little pocket into it somewhere and get one of those blue things from freezers and actually put it in a pocket inside the costume. And that way, you've got a cooling system actually working inside the costume.
Because Adam
I need
Savage...
help with to get this bloody thing off.
My daughter, for her niece's birthday many years ago, dressed up as Olaf from Frozen.
Really?
But it had a fan inside it, so she didn't get hot.
That's a great idea.
The thing was, my granddaughter said, I know that's somebody in a suit, but that's okay, I'll pretend it's Olaf. She never worked out it was her auntie. She still doesn't know it was her auntie.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But honestly, my youngest daughter said, okay, Anastasia, you want to be an actress, earn your keep. Oh, okay. But no, it did have fans in it, which I thought was quite unique.
I saw a program by Adam Savage of Mythbusters in America. And he's very into making spacesuits. You have to go to like Comic-Con dressed as a spacesuit, and people have to guess his hip. And he went around a Comic-Con in a 2001 spacesuit with another guy in a spacesuit, and that was Tim Peake. So it was two people talking about spacesuits.
Oh, no.
It's okay. It's difficult to get out of, and I should have been sitting down. But I'm not old enough to break everything.
So that was the White Rabbit, the safe costume. I was the Black Queen, the dangerous costume. It was talking about cooling down, and then you put a fan in the back. And Tim Peake said, yeah, and NASA does exactly the same thing. Yeah. So the costumers have been solving problems, and in fact, NASA has also been solving. Of course, a spacesuit is a costume, isn't it? I mean, we're all, whatever we are wearing, it's a costume, isn't it? Yeah.
Everything that you're wearing is a costume. It's just it happens to be a costume that is done for societal purposes necessarily or whatever.
I'm just making an observation on the sort of full body fursuit. I mean, I am a kind of furry. I'm not in, but I wouldn't be into the fursuit. Did a pantomime about 20 years ago, and the costumer who actually passed away, she asked me to wear this kind of like paper mache dog poodle head, because I was supposed to be a little dog who laughed in that nursery rhyme. And I rebelled at that because it stank inside. It was, and no, this wasn't her fault, obviously, it was just used. And I came back with, you know, I don't want to wear this, but if there were two dogs in the place, so we had to either both wear them or neither. So what I did was comb my hair up into bunches, my ears, and painted my face, and I was so happy because I had to dance up on stage, and in that I would have had to dance. So I'm kind of in the camp that actually sometimes costuming can be less is more in a way. And I love your suit. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful suit, and you've obviously gone to a lot of trouble, but.
No, but thinking about that, I did it like that, but it did occur to me afterwards that I could have done it effectively so much simpler.
Yeah.
Because it was there for a particular purpose, but the purpose could have been done just without anything.
It was a very small gag, wasn't it? It came on. Certainly for those plays that some things are not worth the effort we have to put in to get them through. I remember building something for half an hour for one gag, I was very keen to it, so I was like, swap it out and get two guys something else. Yeah.
I was thinking that I did actually do a white rabbit costume myself, and this is for a panel at a previous event. And the way I did that was, I had a smart pair of trousers, a shirt, a waistcoat, had a little pocket watch, but I made myself the ears using fluffy feather stuff, and then put my hair back, and then really pale makeup, and then I did the whiskers, and I thought it went down beautifully. Oh, I had a bow tie, because bow ties are cool, but it just worked perfectly. It's very simple. That's all that was really needed for that panel.
To an extent, it's did you get the impact from it? Which is, if you did manage to get the impact with a simpler costume, with a costume that didn't take you weeks and months to build, then that is probably the way to go.
I've got an example of that. When we were doing the Captain Clark plays, we had to do a lot of spectrum uniforms, 20 spectrum uniforms. And the first few uniforms, fit really nicely, had proper zips and pockets and all the rest of it. And then I realised how many I had to do, and it became a lot simpler. The zips disappeared, it was just a bit of sewed white cotton, and things like that. So you just simplify. The hero costumes are like at the front, and they all do at the back, and hopefully they're a bit further away.
Bizarre, it's one of those things which you look at and you learn. If you ever go to an auction or anything like that where they are selling the original props, they're crap. They're terrible. They're really
such
bad. But they make the impact on the screen. They're made of tat, and they work perfectly.
There was an exhibition of costumes from Flash Gordon, the modern Gordons a lot. And I saw these costumes when I got really close to them, this close. The stitching was extraordinary. I think of costumes for background people in the crowd. The amount of detail that got in. And then you think of something like Star Trek Generations. Georgie LaForge's uniform doesn't fit him because they didn't make one for him. They did one from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Voyager. And it doesn't fit him. And as soon as it's pointed out, you can spot it every time. But it was too big for him. But he was just walking past the camera, they got away with it. So in films and so forth, some costumes are brilliant and you wonder why they went to that effort. And other ones are dreadful when you look at it close up.
But a lot of it is, did they get away with it? Did they get away with it? Did doing something simply actually take away from the impact of it? And if it doesn't, then do it simply. And if you're doing it for the purpose of actually the presentation, and it's good enough for the presentation, then that's fine. If you're doing it so that you personally are satisfied that it is perfect, then go to the trouble. But yeah, I remember going on, the Tetsuo Iron Man costume. I think I went on with half of an old, what are they called? The computers, the big case computers, stripped out of an old computer, and basically had half of that strapped to them, in order to make the idea of the sort of metallic, the metallic sort of metamorphosis of a person, and little bits of other electronic stuff stuck and things like that. One of the things that we had in the description of this is it okay to use ready-mades? And
Yes.
to my mind, it's perfectly okay to use ready-mades as long as they're not made for that. If you've got a ready-made something or other, but it's for a completely different purpose. I didn't do the pottery with tea lights, the tea light is a ready-made thing, but I've used it for something completely different. If you look inside, and people are welcome to look inside that thing afterwards, there are effectively the skeleton is actually made of the skeleton of the legs is made with plastic waste pipe covered in radiator insulation and then jointed by basically drilling holes in it and tying it together. But that you can make a skeleton out of. And because people won't see the skeleton, it's a ready-made thing. I create a skeleton, but it's something that was created for a different purpose. It's a different thing. If you buy a cloak and it's supposed to come on and it's a cloak, then I think that's dodgy. If you buy a monk cloak and seriously modify it, that's pretty good. I do not expect anybody to weave their own.
Hand sewing's bad enough.
Hand
It's
sewing.
worth it.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong, it's worth it.
But it's worth it if you know you wanted it to be like that. If you are if you're concerned with making sure that it's a legitimately as good a costume as you can make, then yes, go for it. If you're doing it for a pun or a joke or something like that, or for the impact of the piece, or as part of a group where it's a background character, get away with what you can get away with. Get away with what you're happy with getting away with. It's not, if you're unhappy with going for a certain level of abstraction, of cheating, then do it better. But if you're happy with it, then go for it like that. You won't necessarily win any prizes in the background for the most perfect 17th century stitching, but you will be able to present the costume on stage better. Yeah, okay, yes, it's a medieval costume, but it's done with a sewing machine because, frankly, nobody at that distance is going to see it, and I'm happy enough with it. I'm going to pass it across to somebody else.
Well, we've run out of time, so...
Oh, you're real. Oh, 58. Oh, 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Any questions? Any questions?
Not a question, but observation. I said the most insane one I've come across with costume must be Lord of the Rings. Most people are aware that for the Hobbits, they had normal actors and they had kids playing for long shots. But when they made the kids' costumes, they used a finer weave of woven material. So it was scaled to the actors, so big actors had the same relative size on actors that you can see in long shot. So unless you're in an IMAX with a magnifying glass, you were never going to see it, but they did it. And for me, that's probably the most, maybe you've taken it a bit too far.
The best use of your time in costume.
I quite like it.
But it might really come across subliminally.
And I have to say, the biggest disappointment for me, costume-wise,
As soon as this is finished, I'll make
pink frock coat. Seeing the real one up close. The BBC, when they do things on the cheap, they're not kidding.
No.
On the TV screen back in the 70s, it was fine. Real life, you stood up and you thought, what? Pay yourself in certain appropriate work.
If you can cut an iron in half with an alien spaceship, you're not going for quality.
No.
Really?
They don't Blake 7. Huh? They call it Blake 7.
Blake 7 was 2 hair dryers.
2 hair dryers.
I think we are out of time.
Yeah. Well, there was
Just one observation, 6 Lives of Henry VIII, they had a costume display over in Portsmouth, and as you said, BBC production, when you walked up, absolutely beautiful. When you got close, you could see that the lace was doilies had been sprayed through with gold. But it looked like
look like lights.
And one of the necklaces that Anne Boleyn had was actually gold painted copper chains.
But on the other side from that, I went to see the Titanic movie exhibition after Titanic came out, and they had some of Kate Winslet's costumes there. The yellow one that she wears at the very end of the movie when she goes back and everybody's standing in the grand staircase of the building, and she meets up with Jack again. You only see her from like the waist up, but she had beautiful hand-embroidered matching shoes to go with that dress, and they had them on display. And they never made it as far as the screen.
But you've also with Titanic, you've got the fact that quite a few costumes they made twice because they made back front.
Yes.
Yeah,
they had to do with
because
they
the ship at Newport is not the same size as the ship that gets hit by the iceberg. So when they're doing the bit on the dock, it's the wrong side of the ship. So they only built half the ship, so they filmed everything in mirror. So they get away with it. Every costume had to be the other way around.
And so the white star line on the hats was in reverse.
And it was cheaper to make 2 lots of costumes than it was to do the other side of the ship.
You don't want to have to build the Titanic and actually
We're out
really
of time. I'm sorry. Okay. Don't be a dreadful person. If you've got them at the bar, thank you for